This is number 15 in the Fog of War series. This one is X sum and sandwiches. So it's the X sums across here, the sandwiches are down here. I'll read those out in the rules in a minute. It's a little bit harder than some of the ones I've done before, so a bit more thinking involved perhaps, but hopefully you'll find it fun and not too hard. I'll go through the rules with you. Normal Sudoku rules apply. White dots separate cells by the amount shown in the dots. So if there's a white dot with a number in it, those two cells have to be whatever that number is apart. Cells along an arrow line sum to the circle at the end of the line. So there's an example here. However far that line goes, if it goes to there, it'll have an arrow on the end, and those three will have to add up to whatever number is in that circle. Cells in cages add to the number in the top corner of the cage, and numbers cannot repeat in a cage. So if we've got a cage, the cage are the dotted lines that run around the outside of the cells. If there's a number in the top corner of this, then those three would have to add up to that number in the corner of the cage. Adjacent cells on green German whisper lines must differ by at least 5. So if we've got a green line running down here, if that's a 1, the next one would have to be a 6, 7, 8 or 9. So it has to be at least 5 away. If that's a 6, 5 away from a 6 could only be a 1. And you couldn't have a 5 on a German whisper line because 5 away from a 5 is 10 or 0. So there's never a 5 on the green line. What do we got next? Numbers outside the grid on the right are the sum of the numbers between 1 and 9 in that row. So these black numbers here, we didn't say the colour, but the black numbers there are the sandwich sums. So if that was a 1 and that was a 9, the sum between the 1 and the 9 has to add up to 15. If that was a 1 and that was a 9, the sum between those two would have to add up to 15. And it's only these four here that are sandwich sums. I've made these different colours to make them obvious. So the red numbers outside the grid with arrows on the right indicate the sum of that diagonal. So that diagonal along there is 37, that diagonal along there is 23. These are not sandwich sums for those rows. Numbers along the top outside the grid are X sums. So these ones along the top are X sums. Now how they work if you haven't done them before, the first number in the column, say that one there was a 5, then you would count the first 5 numbers in that column and they would have to add up to 20. If that number was a 4, you'd count the first 4 numbers in there and they would have to add up to 20. So depending on what number you've got here, that number of cells has to add up to that number on the outside there. And I've written an example there, which is basically just what I explained. And that's all the rules for this one. So there's a link in the description below if you'd like to click on it and have a go. And if you have a problem, come back and have a look at the solution, which I shall attempt now. So where to start? Now with number X sums, I was going to say numbered rooms, then with X sums, you tend to look at the big ones and the small ones are the most useful. So I'll start with the 3. So these, you can only have a 2 and a 1 that adds up to a 3, can't you? And that one tells you how many of them add up to that number. So that one has to be a 2 and that one has to be a 1. So that's an easy start for that corner. The bigger numbers, because the whole line adds up to 45, if that's the sum of the first however many, that means you've got a 2 left over at the end there from 45. And that means, that means that the first 8 of those must sum to 43. So that tells us that one there has to be an 8. And something more. And a 2 from an 8 has to be a 6. And now what? We can have a fiddle down here and put some things in. A 3 goes, well, I'm just putting the possibilities, not necessarily saying that a 3 has to go there. A 5 would have to go there. And then that couldn't be a 5, so that would have to be a 1 if that was a 3. And then that one would have to be a 4, so that's one possibility. If that's a 4, that would be a 6, so we can't have a 6 because there's a 6 up there. We could have a 5 and a 7, and then 5 plus 2 is 7, so you couldn't have that. 5 minus 2 would be 3. And then we've got 5, 3, 7, so that once again is a 4. 4 and 3 makes 7. We can have a 6, 8, 6, 8, and 6 plus 2 is 8. You can't have 8, 8, so that would have to be a 4. And then a 4, 8 you would have to have another 4 to add up to 8, so you can't have 2 4s, so those ones don't work actually. We'll take them out. So that one now could be a 7 and a 9, and plus 2 makes 9 again, so that's got to be 7 5, and 4 plus 5 makes 9 again, so it doesn't matter what we put in there, that one is a 4. And now this cage, 5 from 22, what's that, 17, that has to be a 9 8 pair. And there's a lot of combinations going there. I don't think we can get that just yet. What we might be able to eliminate though, if we know the first 6 of those has to add to 26. So that means if you take 26 from 45, that leaves the last 3 have to add up to 19. So can they add up to 19 with these? We had 3, 5, 1. So if that's a 5 and a 1, to add to 19, that would have to be a 6 from 19's 13, isn't it? Which is not possible. So we can't have the 3, 5 and the 1. 5, 7, 3 we can have, and that means 7 3 is 10, that would be a 9. And 7, 9, 5, 9 and 5 is 14, 14 and 5 is 19. Yeah, that's right. So they're the only possibilities there. And that's a 7 5 9 triple. So that can't be a 5. So that has to be a 3, and that gives it to us 3 4 7. And that's a 5, and then that's a 9. And now, what can we have with a 7? 7 from 22 is 15, isn't it? Yep. Brain wasn't working there for a minute. Yeah, that's 15. So that has 15 can only be 7 8, which we can't have, or 6 9. So that's got to be a 6 9 pair. Oh, and there's a 9 there, so that one has to be a 6, and that one has to be a 9. Oh, it didn't reveal anything though. And that leaves in here a 1 and 1 2 3 4 5, a 1 and an 8. 1 8 pair there and there. Oh, and that one's not an 8 because of the 8 up there, so it gives us that one as well. That's an 8. And now we've got the German whisper line. That could be anything, 6 7 8 or 9, and that can't be 1 2, so that's got to be 3 4. And 3 4 can only go, because they've got to be at least 5 apart, it can only go with an 8 or a 9, so that can't be a 6 or a 7. And this one here can be pretty much anything at the moment. There's not much point putting them in, is there, at this stage? And that one can be 1 3 4, so I'll leave those for now, and we'll see what else we can work on up here. So these have to be X sums, so we've got to have numbers adding up here to that many. So let's start with this smaller one. Can't have a 2 now, that would have to be a 3 4 5. That's the most we can have adding up to 15, because the first 5 numbers add up to 15. So if that was 5, it would have to go down to there, and we'd have to have 1 2 3 4 5. Now that's a problem, because we can't have a 1 2 in there, and we can't have a 1 2 in that circle, because they have to add up to there, and that would have to be at least a 3. That'd have to be 2 1. That'd have to be 3 4 or 5 or 6 7 8 or 9. So can't have 1 2 there, can't have 1 2 there, so they can't be 1 2 3 4 5, so that can't be a 5. Okay, now if it was a 4, we're going to have a similar thing. We can't have a 1 2. So the next number with a 4, I'll just put in all the minimum numbers, because I think it's going to be too big for 15. If you put in 4, then the next smallest here is 3, then the next smallest is a 5, and then a 6. And that's going to be 6, 11, 12, 13, 14, and if it was 18, it's too big. And they're the minimum you can have, so that means you can't have a 4. So all of those get rid of. That one up there has to be a 3. And then 3 from 15, excuse me, is 12. So that can be 9 3, which you can't have. 8 4 or 7 5 to add to 12 there. Now what? These ones must be surely 4 or 5. I don't think you could get 7. In fact, I'm pretty sure. Well, that actually tells you, but I'll just check it's not a 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You'd have to have the first 6 numbers add to 21, so the first 7 numbers add to 28. So no, you couldn't possibly have a 7. So that would have to be a 5 now, and that one's a 4. That's not a 4. Then what? So they have to add up to 23. So those 4 have to add to 19. Could be anything at this point. I might put what goes in here. They have to be. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's got to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in there, doesn't it? Not 9. Oh, there's 9 down the bottom. 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, in that case, that tells us. Does that tell us we put those ones in? There couldn't be a 9 because they couldn't have a 9, 3. That means the 9 has to go there. Ah, okay. Now that might give us this sandwich on. That has to be 11. So 5 and 5's 10. You can't have 5 and 5. 5 and 6 is 11 already, so it can't go further over. The 1's got to go there. And that's got to be a 5, 6 pair. So that's a 5, and that's a 6. Get rid of that 5, get rid of that 5, 6. And now, oh, that made this one easy. Look at that, that one's 15. You can't have the 9 any further over in that one, so that one has to be the 9. And that was nice and easy. Now what? What can we have in here? We don't know that that cage stops there though. It could go, could go further, or it could go around the corner there, couldn't it? So not sure about that just yet. I'll put what can we have in there though. We can have 1, 2, 3. I was getting rid of them as it is. 4 and 7 is all we can have. That can't be a 2. That can't be a 3, 7. So that's a 2, 4. So that can't be a 4. Oh, so it's got to be a 3, 7. So the cage mustn't go around the corner. So that means that one's a 3. And that one's a 7. Now that's a 4. That has to be a 9 next to a 4. Oh, that might be worth putting this one in. That can be 6, 7 or 8. And that one could be 1, can't be 2, 3, can't be 4 next to those ones. Now that could go up around there or up around there, so we don't know that at this stage. What else can we get? Can't tell which the way they go. Can't tell what that is. No, we must have to do something over here. These sums here. 37, that's a very big sum. Let's see what that has to be. 6 and 9's 15 and 6 is 21. 21 from 37 is 16. So those two have to add up to 16. The only way to get 16 is 9 and 7. 9 can't go there. So that's a 9 and that's a 7. And now these ones have to add up to 9. Like obviously a few small numbers, but what about this cage here? Those two have to add up to 9 as well. So what can they be? They could be an 8, 1. And they could be a... No, they can't be... Can they be? Yes, they can be a 7, 2. Oh, no, there's a 7 there. Silly me. I was looking at this line. They can't be a 7, 2 because of that 7. They can't be a 6, 3 because of that 3. And they can't be a 5, 4. So it has to be a 1, 8. And if that's an 8, that's going to be too big for a 9. So that's got to be the 1 and that's got to be the 8. And now, and that gives us that one, 7. And that one's 8. Now take 1 from 9. That leaves those two have to add up to 8. So we can have it's kind of 7, 1, and the 7 there. We could have 6, 2, and the 6 would have to go there. Whoops, there. And the 2 would have to go there. 6, 2, 5, 3. We could have in either one at this stage, so that could be 5, 3, 5, 3. So what else can we... Oh, we can do these sums here now. That one's 4. 4 and 8's 12. 18. That's got to be the 5. So that gets rid of the 5, 3, doesn't it? can't be a 5. And it had to be 5, 3 to add up to 8, so that gives us that one there for 6, 2. And that leaves a 3, 4 pair there. The 4 has to go there, and the 3 has to go there. And now this one has to add up to 20, the 5, so that has to be 6, 15. They've got to add to 5, so it can't be 1, 4, it's got to be 2, 3. The 3 has to go there, and the 2 has to go there. 6, I can just put all the numbers in that are left there, I guess. We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 8 to go in there. Can we tell where they go? Not very well from that. These sandwich sums might tell us though. 7, 9, 5, 2 makes 7, so that's got to be a 1. And then that one has to be a 5, and that one has to be an 8. And then this sandwich sum, 5 and 8's 13 already, so that one's a 9 next to the 1. Like the 1 and the 9 there, and they add up to 13. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we've got a 6, 7 to go here. That one's got to be the 6, and that one's got to be the 7. In here, what's left? A 1 to go there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's a 7. Now where shall we go? I'll fill in these two, I guess. 1, 2. I'll just put them in and then get rid of what doesn't work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for that one, so that's a 4, and that's not. In this one we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that one's an 8. That's not an 8, and not an 8. And now that's not an 8. And now that that's not an 8, that one can't be a 3 because you can only have a 1 or a 2 with a 6 or a 7 on a German whisper line, so that's a 1. That one has to be 2 away, so it's got to be a 3. Gives us that one and that one. And that one now has to be an 8. And this one can be 6, 7 or 9. And that one can be 1, 2 or 4. So it could be either at this stage. Okay, I guess we do this one now. What can these ones be? 1 and 2 is missing there. That's a 2. That's a 1. Is it the 1 down there? So that's a 4, which means this one has to be a 9. And now up to this one. What can that be? 1, 2, 3. It can't be 2, 1. 4, 5, 6. It's got to be a 7 or an 8. There's an 8 there, so that's got to be a 7. That one's a 5. 1, 2, 3. Oh, hang on. He's on there. It's a 6. Resolve to these two. And that one there is a 7. And then we've got a 2 and a 5 there. Can't see where they go yet. And now in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 has to go there. There's a 6 there, so that one's a 4. And that one's a 6. 1, 2, we need a 3 there, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 there. Still can't tell where they are yet. We'll just have to put these ones in up here. Okay, that one could be. Oh, there's 1, 1 there. I'll put a 1 there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need a 7, 9. So the 9 goes there, and the 7 goes there. I'll do this one now because there's only 2 missing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's a 6, 8 pair, so the 6 is there and the 8 is there. Which one now? Doesn't really matter, we've got a couple of unresolved things no matter which way we go, haven't we? So we'll just put these ones in. 1, that could be, it's obviously a 2, 4 something, so it's a 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 and a 5. We haven't got in that row, so 2, 4, 5. 2, 4, 5. That one's not a 4. I haven't missed anything that's unresolved, I hope. This one's got to be a 2, 4, and what's missing from there? 1, 3, 2, 4, 3. 2, 4, 3. That one's not a 3. And that one's not a 4. This doesn't look good, does it? Oh yes, thank goodness, there's a 2-4 pair there. Gives us that one's a 3. And no, thank goodness it didn't resolve everything. 2, 4, 5, 2, 5, 2, 5. Is there a sandwich some I've missed somewhere? 11, no, I've got that one. No, what have I missed? Ah, oh, phew. Thought there was a mistake for a minute. That one has to add up to 23. Didn't use that one yet. 6, 7, 8, and 5 is 13, and 8 is 21, 22. Sorry, 13 and 8 is 22. That's got to be a 2. No, 21. 13 and 8 is 21. That's got to be a 2. And that's a 4. And that's a 5. That's a 4. And that's a 2. And a 5. And a 2. Phew, had me worried for a minute there. Done. There we go. That wasn't too bad. It was a little bit tricky. These ones here came out once we got this bit here first. It made this up here a lot easier. The first time I did this, I sort of tried to work all this out first without doing this, and it was quite difficult. So it wasn't as hard as what I thought, actually. Anyway, I hope you managed to get through that and enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.